As some of you watching this may be aware, the goal in Mythic Plus dungeons is to try to do them as fast as possible so that you can get a good score. Um, and to that end, at the beginning of this pre-patch tier, I really tried to start with something that I felt like was really aggressive in terms of being able to do damage as a healer and push keys, with the plan that if I needed more healing, that I can always dial it back and go for something a little bit safer. But what I've found so far is actually that we're able to heal just fine, and started thinking about ways that I could maybe even do more damage and see if we can outperform people on a healing class on the damage meter. So with that in mind, I came up with a new build. I made a different tree that was going to incorporate the boomkin side. The damage wasn't really terribly different, and then I kind of started thinking like what it would be fun to maybe try to do both. So that's what this one is. Initially, actually, it looked like this still, and I don't believe I had these points here. Instead, I had something a little bit more helpful, like the improved bark skin. But when I was looking at this with my friend, we found out that this actually doesn't improve your damage at all. This is contributing armor, but not actually necessary for damage. And if we are really belligerent and don't help at all, we get to dump our points into things that are a lot more fun, like going more quickly between packs and just generally doing that much more damage. And additionally, not having to use a global to go into Moonkin form means that Star Surge and Starfire are basically castable from cat form. You'll turn into a human, but from there you can of course just do some human spells, heal it up, just kind of normal cat weaving ideas. Anyway, after the dungeon was over, because it did kind of go a little bit rough, the shaman had some choice words for how they felt about the way the tank performed. Why was this so painful? Jesus, this tank. As well as my item build, incorporating these damage trinkets and the wrist. And we had a little exchange, and they suggested that I caused them to die many times. Um, and so, because we recorded the dungeon, um, my goal for this video is to see whether or not that's the case. And then also just generally look for the same things that I've been after about my gameplay, like making sure that I'm using Life Bloom well, Tranquility, and now Star Surge. So that's a lot of fun, actually. All right, let's have a look here. I usually go haste. I'm gonna try crit, just for the sake of it. That's right, we did crit this time. Surprised me. And they announced that one of the players, one of the DPS is a carry. I think it's the Paladin, because they're the one with the key, and their gear level for this one was like in the 80s. So, I guess I'm on the board. That one was definitely my fault. And that one was definitely not mine. That would be on the DPS. So, you all did not interrupt that big ol' explosion there, did you? Or not. People are doing whatever. Granted, so am I. What's going on here? There we go. Ooh, that one did get interrupted. I could see it back there. Star Surge is up. I'm really struggling with that. If we're looking for spots to Tranquility, then I mean, at this point, I could have used one and pretty much had it back up if I used it immediately, or I don't know. I don't know if we used strength before the boss necessarily.
Star Surge. And my Covenant ability, and
maybe I use it on the first pull, because I'm operating.
Star Surge.
I'm assuming in this that we're going to be doing the Zygamax and the other Dreadlord prior to the boss, which is not what happened. Spoiler. I mean, the benefit to using Tranquility is to use fewer globals on healing and get to do more damage. So, with that being the goal, I'm definitely looking for places that I can use it more and identify those so that I do it in the future.
Boss next? Or Dreadlords? Boss? Boss. Oh no, as soon as I started Convoke, I get Nature Lock. That's so stupid. I haven't done this in a while. It's so good.
I remember that I was having a hard time looking for a place that I was going to be able to use my Venthyr and Covenant ability. And look, I'm leaving Star Surge up for a long time too. There we go, I finally used it. I've got that and Life Bloom up. See, this is why we're paying attention. This is probably the spot to use Tranquility. As long as I'm not being targeted. I think as soon as I see that I'm not being targeted, I can Trank here. But I am being targeted, so that's the thing. It's just a hard one to use. Like, it's powerful, but you have to kind of set up for it, and then you can't always pull it off. I do have the talent to make the cooldown shorter, and I think it also makes it so that you're taking less damage and don't get knocked back. So I need to just get more used to using it. Oh, here's a big mistake from me.
You said what now? What do you think they were trying to pull them out? Yeah, I misunderstood. I thought we were just gonna like do it, but I'm used to doing those before the boss, so I guess I just don't really know the plan. Oh, my bad.
Doing good damage, though. Right? Kind of. Extended pull, but at least we're there.
Alright, I'm gonna finally use my Venthyr ability, goodness gracious.
Nice, Star Surge. Out damaging the Paladin.
I feel when you accidentally press Tranquility instead of Swift Mend, right?
Oh yeah, I wasted it. Wasted the Trank. Definitely need some help. It's hard to practice those things in the keys where my gear's a little bit better than the key level. Because you just don't really like need it. It's a lot easier to tell when you need to use your cooldowns when everyone's dying around you. Oh, there goes the Paladin. And there goes me.
That's funny. Just release pro.
There goes the tank. That's the shaman.
What is going on up there? Did they not wait for us? That's so funny. Oh, I should have waited for them.
I was
Oh,
confused at this
tragedy.
part. I thought they were able to
Oh
go
wait, no.
through.
What the hell is this?
But
Where did
what
that guy
turned out
come
that
from?
happened at this part was that that mob never got aggroed by the tank.
Oh, okay. Where's the
Or the
tank now?
shaman ripped aggro,
Are they
which is
coming
their fault.
back? Oh, they're coming
And
back.
the
This
tank
is so
never noticed,
confusing.
which was kind of their fault.
Alright, let's
And
move
so
this
that
guy
thing
down
just kind of
first.
hung out down there and killed all of our DPS and then killed us. I died in the swirly. But I'm still going to give half credit to the DPS for ripping aggro and not bringing it back up to the tank. I'm going to give half credit to the tank for not noticing and dealing with it.
Yeah, it seems like it.
You know, not having aggro in the first place, right? At this point, I'm actually still most to blame, though. So, what can you do? Obviously, not take damage trinkets.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was there either, obviously, and that was wild.
Okay, so here we have another death by the shaman. They go low, and I do have Swift Mend up at the time, and I've got the Nature's Vigil available as well. So realistically, I can absolutely heal them, but they get hit by a frontal just like I am right now,
Oh, really? I thought it was cool to
which
stand
was
in
their
there for a
fault.
moment.
So we're going to give that shaman, unfortunately, they're going to be good for half a point worth of blame, according to me. Bringing the DPS fault level up to 2, and I'm going to take half credit for not topping them before they got hit by that frontal. And then I personally got killed by the cannon, which I'm going to give myself another half point, and I'm going to give the tank half a point for not pointing it, because they
Right
needed
at
to
this
point it
point.
away. I think one thing that's important to kind of identify about what's happening, or that I'm kind of noticing, I guess, is that these are all mechanical issues, not really like, oh, like we couldn't stay alive here or anything like that. This is the
Hi,
part of
guy.
the train when
Just
everyone takes a
passing by.
nap. I should put beds in these
What's going on?
train
Ah!
cars for the when people go to sleep.
Yeah, I was in Sanguine, but I didn't. I felt like I was being like tugged by something.
This is a good place to use Tranquility. I've got
Weird.
Convoke the Spirits and Trank up right here, and be well served to top everybody,
Look at that.
probably during that pull, or
Oh, it's not
maybe
that far.
right before this pull starts. The in-between pulls ultimate chain pull kind of thing, maybe. The Paladin dies there. I think we're going to give them half credit for standing in something, and the tank half credit for pointing crap down the hallway. Obviously, we're not like assigning blame for every death. We're assigning blame for instances of dying.
Don't blast me!
I'm leaving Star Surge up a lot. Maybe I'll make the Weak Aura shiny, but I'm also leaving Life Bloom a lot, so that just doesn't really work for me. I need to make it big or something. I don't know. I need to make me better. Just watch more of these dungeons back, and maybe I'll learn that way.
I do. I talented it.
Trying to use my Purge on cooldown. Here comes a Healing Convoke. That's nice of me. Oh yeah, and I'm Trinking. I did the Healing Convoke into Trink. That's a good choice. Nice and topped up for this weird big pull. Go me. Use Life Bloom.
Might not have Soothe. Yeah, I don't know where it would be in the tank tree. I guess it's in the Druid tree. I don't know. I can't really think about that right this second. It's okay.
Oh, Paladin died. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the damage meter. Let's go back.
The tank tree. I
What
guess it's
happened
in
to
the
this guy?
druid tree. I don't know. I can't really think about that right this second.
Boom.
It's okay.
Frontal. And then Flame Tongue. Shrapnel Blast. Where's the Paladin at? They're the only person getting hit. I'm going to say that's purely their fault, not the tank's fault. Turn that 2 into a 3. Cannon barrage coming straight down the hallway, but we're all alive. So who cares? And 13k on healer.
What's happening back there? I didn't even realize there was still somebody alive. He's still alive.
Not bad, not bad.
Oh, now I'm standing in it too. Awful.
I don't know, I honestly don't know what like good healer damage is. I know that Resto is notoriously a class that people think of as not one that heals, so we're doing our best here to prove that it can be done and that we don't deserve to be thought of that way. Taking it back. I am not fond of this fight. It is not super fun to heal. But we'll miss it when it's gone.
Why is this happening?
It's another place I should probably be just
That
using
range
cooldowns to
won't go
heal.
anybody 'cause they're all out of sight.
If I use Convoke here, then I've already healed everybody to full, and I'm not still sitting here healing, so I'll have to improve on that one. Really not in a hurry to top my teammates. It doesn't seem like I'm over here trying to make sure I put dots on. Not necessarily a bad thing. We're making observations over here, but people are lowish. There's the Trink. Okay, so I mean, I'm out of mana right now, in my defense. It's kind of just brutal on healers, this fight. There's a lot of damage going out. It's a lot of avoidable damage that doesn't necessarily get avoided. And it's just a long one. This isn't even tyrannical on the so, crazy. Although my mana management is a lot better if I'm using Innervate, which I'm not good at doing, and using my healing cooldowns for healing instead of blowing through my mana, casting tons of spells. So let's do that
I
better.
think it should be, because it's basically the same, just with more.
Being owned by this lightning damage. There's some more dying. Okay. So, at that point... Oh, here's another... Oh, they live. They're fine. The paladin dies
I guess
again.
that's like the one difference.
And there
And
goes... Okay, so this is the first time they're dying. But I know that I used my Convoke for damage and that they were all like pretty low for a long time there. And I could have stabilized this. I'll give myself credit here. But this isn't a gear issue, mind you. This is a choice issue so far.
To use B-reses here is I can just walk back. It's silliness.
Yeah, Paladin's just chilling. They don't even want to stand up and come back. They're just gonna watch.
Did they just stand up? That's so silly. They literally just don't want to get to play.
Yeah, that guy just sat there and watched us do trash, and then as soon as we were done, instead of waiting for res, they got up. They are here to be carried.
Yeah, this boss is my nemesis,
I
unfortunately.
think it's funny that they announced it was a carry like right as the queue was going in. Like, by the way, we're carrying. So silly. This boss is melting. I'm doing 15 and change thousand oh 17. We're out damaging this paladin. It's so silly. 17k on Resto Druid. Alright, so that was the end of the dungeon. Here's our little stats breakdown. Did about 9,000 healing per second overall. So I'd like to think that's pretty good, especially for a 15. That should be enough healing. Got to do around as much damage. So actually, comparatively, we were doing about as much damage as healing evenly, which is kind of a neat statistic. A lot of healing coming from Adaptive Swarm, which is kind of noteworthy, as well as damage. The new trinket that I've got and I'm excited about did my third damage, which is great. It did about as much damage as Sunfire and Moonfire, which are always pretty up there. This is my other damage trinket. Again, kind of watching the video, I think we were able to prove that while I could have made different choices, those were gameplay choices and not necessarily... I don't know. It didn't seem like people were dying because they didn't get enough heals out of the heals or weren't being ambiently healed enough. People died because they stood in things, and myself included. So that's actually not really fair. My numbers are... I guess the thing to do is to put it to you. If you've watched this far into the video, what do you think? Is it worthwhile to bring these damage items and be contributing in that way, or is that selfish or not a good group choice compared to if I brought something that has more like maybe ambient healing and stats on the wrist instead of an active that does lightning damage, which made up 4% of mine? Tell me below.